I want to hear what everyone thinks trends for 2025 actually are.
I feel as if there is some sort of coming.
I don't think I've agreed with somebody more.
Their evergreen growth tactics going into 2025.
That's just a trend that's just going to get even more dramatic.
It took a long time to learn that there is no
Today, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things we saw happen in 2024, as well as what we think is going to happen in 2025 and the things you can prepare yourself to grow in the new year. If you're watching on the main vidIQ channel, there is an unedited version of this on the Boost channel. We, of course, would love to see you over there. The link will be in the description. As you are going to see this, it's going to be heavily edited, and the Boost is going to see all the raw craziness. All right, what are some of the things that you think beginning creators should know going into 2025? Of course, the landscape of YouTube will change, especially if the TikTok ban goes through. We're going to see an influx of new short form creators coming into YouTube if they haven't already started. Viewership will probably start coming in too, because the only real place to watch short form will be Instagram and or YouTube. So a lot of these things could change for sure. But what are the things that you can say pretty confidently they're evergreen growth tactics going into 2025? Let's start with Rob, and then we'll go over to John.
It's still not too late to start a YouTube channel. It feels like the industry is still growing, so there is still opportunities. I think the dynamic of the journey of a creator is changing a little bit, in the sense that it does seem to be now more somewhat AI skewed, I would suggest. And I just think overall, the ability and talent of even the beginner creator seems just so much more advanced than it was maybe 5 to 10 years ago. And I say that from looking at the YouTube education niche, whereby there was maybe a handful when I started. 5 years later, there was dozens. Now, when I look at my feed, I seem to be seeing a new creator every single time I load up the homepage who's giving their own YouTube advice. And the quality is sensational. It's starting to make me feel a bit like a dinosaur in that niche, weirdly. I think everybody who has been thinking about starting a YouTube channel has figured out now, yeah, this is actually somewhere where I could really grow as a professionally and maybe build a business out of it. So do it now.
I think something to keep in mind is that there are plenty of opportunities still on YouTube, and there always will be, but it can be overwhelming when you first start thinking that every niche is saturated or whatever. Just from personal experience, recently I was dealing with Kindle Direct Publishing. It's for Amazon to put a book on Amazon. Then I was dealing with some like Photoshop issues because I just got a new computer, and I go to YouTube to learn about these things, and the channels that cover these topics are so old. They put all their call to actions right at the beginning, and they have super long intros, and it's like, here is a spot where somebody could come in and take over completely just by offering value first, and then it's like, hey, if you want more, hit subscribe, I'll be back with another video, like right at the end. I think people are annoyed about that old YouTube style, and they won't put up with it because there's way too many channels to watch now. More than that, I think that episodic content, like series content, is probably going to do something in 2025. I think I saw Colin and Samir talking about it, but I saw somebody else talking about it way before them, like months before, where he's like, I could see YouTube being the new Netflix, and he was a very small channel, and now I'm seeing it. I'm seeing what it looks like on TV, and if you're like a vlogger or you're trying to set up something like that where you do like a series content, I think that there's a huge potential in that for sure.
Funny you say this. We're seeing more documentary style stuff on YouTube. I watch a lot of documentary stuff on YouTube. One of my friends did a documentary style video that just came out the other day. It's absolutely spectacular. It's about when the iPhone 4 leaked. For those of you who may remember, there was an iPhone engineer before the iPhone 4 was ever announced. This guy took a prototype to a bar and left it on a stool, and some guy found it and then ended up selling it to his website, and it became a worldwide thing because no one knew this phone was coming out, and it became a huge story. And he just did like a retrospective documentary. It looks like Netflix quality stuff. Like if you watch this thing, it looks Netflix quality. He just released it this past weekend. The channel's FPT, Front Page Tech. If you want to check it out, if you're interested in that sort of thing, go check it out. And this is that new platform for that sort of content, like high end. Of course, you can always do the fun little vloggy stuff too, but I feel like, and I agree with John, this is that place for that new type of content. Jen, what are you thinking about thoughts going into 2025, the things that you think creators should know?
I mean, I agree with everything that everyone has said so far. I think that I have seen a lot of new creators or smaller channels surfacing, even just for me as a viewer. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like every time, maybe it's like a TV thing, because I really only watch YouTube like outside of work as TV, and everything suggested next is prioritizing being closer to the video that I watch, regardless of if it's the same creator, regardless of how many views. I can't even tell you how many 200, 300 view videos show up as my, watch next video. And that is like super new behavior that I've seen. At least I have not seen this many small creators surface. So I agree with Rob and start the channel, because you have such a great shot. I also have small creators right now who are uploading their first video, getting 1,000 views, uploading their second video, getting that 200, 300 view mark. So do it, start the channel. I also see kind of like, I understand the episodes thing, but I also see content just getting longer and longer and longer. Every day I go on, I feel like it's longer average timestamps, and just about every video for like the sides of YouTube that I consume are like 30 minutes plus. And I feel like that's just a trend that's just going to get even more dramatic this coming year. And I feel like there's also polar opposite sides, the high production documentary style that Travis, you're talking about. I feel like there's also the super relatable, super unedited, longer content that people just want to feel really connected to. And I feel like this kind of middle ground of content of like meshing the worlds is maybe disappearing a little bit. That's just an opinion.
I think to double down on one of the things you said about longer form content, what YouTube has actually said, and this will continue into 2025, I'm practically positive of it, is you will see longer form content start to work out, because more and more people are watching content on their televisions. There's tons of ways to watch YouTube on your television now. And because of that, people's tolerances for watching things that are longer in nature is much higher. It's much easier to sit down on your couch and watch a 20, 30-minute YouTube video on your television than it is for some people to sit there and hold your phone and do it. Like, it's something, inevitably, you're going to be distracted from that experience. If you're home, you're watching YouTube. I watch a lot of my YouTube on my television. I am watching longer form content. So you will see that in certain niches. So continue to look for those type of niches, or if you're in your niche, ways of bringing your storytelling to the forefront, being able to stretch it out a little bit longer to get people hooked in. But one of the things I always say is you should be really looking for the ability to hook people to want to come back. And one of the best ways to do that is whatever the point of the video is. Let's say, for example, you know what I'm going to say, Jen. You know what I'm going to say, right? Let's say...
Just say it.
I'm going to say it.
Just
Let's say you're baking a cake,
right? Oh, is it chocolate, Travis? Is it a chocolate cake?
It's a chocolate cake. If you're baking a chocolate cake, right after you've taken the thing out of the oven and taken your first bite, like, you should instantly be going, and in my next video, I'm gonna show you how to make the best icing, and end that video as soon as. Always leave them wanting more. Give them all the value, but end that thing as soon as you possibly can, so they will come back and watch something else. It's a trend I'm seeing in music now, which I don't really like, but it's a thing where almost all the songs that are coming out now are like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. Back in my day, songs were 5 and 6 minutes long.
Songs were 16 minutes.
I'm noticing short, and you could say it's attention spans, but I also feel like it gives you more time to listen to more stuff. So I like that as an idea. Get people hooked, give them what they want, and then immediately get out and tell them to watch something else. So we have this Discord, this really cool Discord that has our listeners in it. If you have Boost or above, like 101 or the Boost package, if you click the link in the description or in the show notes and link your Discord, you can actually come and talk to other listeners. They have made this monstrosity in AI.
Oh my God.
A Cadbury egg filled with candy corn in it using AI. It's beautiful. I mean, it looks gross.
I don't know. I would try this one.
I have an appropriate sound effect for this.
I like how the foil is wrapped in chocolate somehow.
It's on the inside.
I do want to talk about something else that's in here in this Discord, and that's this. What we're looking at here, auto dubbing is something that's just starting in YouTube right now. And what that does is it takes your videos and automatically dubs them to other languages. Now, my suspicion is that this wouldn't contribute very much to people's views, but someone in the Discord, I believe it was, Derek's Lawn Rescue, shared some analytics, and I'm kind of shocked by this. And what it is he's seeing good amount of views. So on this particular video, he's getting like hundreds of views from Spain, Portuguese, German, French. And what's most interesting isn't just that they're the number of views, but the average view duration is really high. Now that I see analytics like this, I think this is kind of game changing. What do you guys think?
Do you know if you've got the tool yet, Jen?
I do have it. So I was trying to see where it is because I didn't even think to look at that. I published a video and then like a bunch of comments came in. It was like, why are you in German? And I was like, wait, what?
Interesting. Okay.
That's interesting.
And then I went and I played through all of them, and it sounds really good.
So what is YouTube deciding there? Is it depending on the location of a viewer or what language they've set?
My question was kind of similar to Rob's. Is there something that, the average creator will have to prepare for this? Or is it just like, hey, we're all just going to get like more worldwide views?
This is still early days, right? So I'm curious as to if anyone else has this feature and you have, the booster above, go into our Discord and leave some screenshots there. It'd be really interesting to see and compare with what we just saw from Derek's channel, because that's very encouraging. Well, why don't we take a little break from this and answer a couple of the emails we've gotten from the listeners. Theboost@vidiq.com is the email. Of course, there is a link in the audio podcast show notes if you ever want to send in a message. Ironically, the subject is translate to another language. So this is perfectly timed. I literally just came in while we were recording this podcast, which is really weird.
I was frantically writing it as we were.
So let's read this. Let's see what they say. It's from Hal. Hi, Jen and Travis. And of course, we'll say Rob and John. This podcast is my most anticipated bedtime story every week.
Oh.
Isn't that sweet? Regarding the question last year about using AI to translate videos from German to English, I have some personal experiences to share. I run 2 channels on the same topic, one in my native language and the other in English. Initially, I had just one channel and I uploaded 2 videos for each topic, one in each language. At that time, YouTube's system couldn't translate my native language into English. Honestly, it still struggles now. Later, I took Rob's advice and split my content into 2 separate channels, remaking videos.
Please let this works. Please work.
Most of my videos are narrated, so I do voiceovers before editing. Over time, I realized that translating a video isn't as simple as just switching its language. Viewers with different linguistic and cultural backgrounds have different viewing preferences and habits. As a result, I essentially have to make 2 distinct videos. The visuals will be shared, but the sequence, introduction, and even content need adjustment. Before I finish this email, almost done. That is interesting, that the content itself might need to change because of the cultural impact it may have in a different... And I think, again, this has a lot to do with the type of content you're making. I think if it's like a video game, it's probably the same, doesn't matter. If it's a vlog, same, doesn't matter. But like how to cook or something might be slightly different because of the things available in other countries. Something like that, I guess. That's interesting. From my personal experience, simply translating a video language is at best a suboptimal solution. Of course, it might depend on the content. For example, something like how to tie a tie might work in 100 languages. Now, I swear I didn't just read that. I didn't know that before I just said what I said. This just happens to be one of our listeners who's super smart. I just want people to know we have super smart.
No, it's because you're in their head, Travis.
I'm in their head. In their head.
Especially when they're trying to fall asleep to this, Travis.
They're having sweet dreams of cake, how to tie a tie.
Anybody in the mood for cranberries?
Listen, that was a great song. For instance, if you make a video about a candy corn challenge, viewers from different regions without candy corn might be confused and even misinterpret candy corn as being delicious. Let's go!
Oh!
That's right.
No, this email is over.
Burn! All right.
Wait, we don't even know if John likes candy corn.
No, I don't.
Oh.
Exactly.
Kick
it's
him
just
out.
wax. It's basically a candle.
Yeah, I'd rather not eat wax.
No, exactly. In such cases, the context of the video would need to be adjusted for those audience. That said, even without adjustments, viewers might still lack cultural connections and lose interest. This is just some of my thoughts. Before I read the last sentence, this is really interesting and brings up a really good point about this auto dubbing feature that we just talked about. I think it's going to work more often than it doesn't, but there are instances where I think the view duration will go down because culturally it doesn't make sense to the person watching. Rob, your thoughts on this?
I kind of feel like we're overthinking this now when it's a tool which requires 0 cost and 0 effort. I feel as if in 95% of cases you would just turn it on, see what happens, analyze the data. If it is having a detrimental impact on discoverability and impressions, then maybe just turn it off. And I think you can do that at the upload default setting, so you can turn it off at the master level if you wanted to.
John, any thoughts from what we've been read so far?
No, but it does kind of make me wonder if the algorithm is pushing to different languages, if that affects your current push in your own native language, or if it's like involved. I don't know. I don't think it takes a whole lot of adjustment, but making more than one piece of content is always a good call, in my opinion.
Jen, when you got the notification, did you have to turn the auto dubbing on, or was it on by default?
It went on by itself. It actually takes a little bit. It takes max it looks like a few days, maybe. I don't know. It's really dependent on per video because maybe it's how long it's sitting in studio before you hit publish too. That counts. I don't know.
I'm super curious how it'll impact the vidIQ channel.
Especially when we already have a dedicated Spanish channel.
Right.
It's
Very
great. Spanish was my longest time. They watched longer than the English people.
Maybe you should learn Spanish, Jen. And then the last part of this sentence. Also, I'm really curious about Jen's reaction. Okay, so Jen wasn't here last week. We got an email to Jen, so she doesn't know what this is about. So I'll have to really quick catch her up, but I'll read the email. Also, I'm really curious about Jen's reaction to the suggestion of replacing the candies in her bag, which for those who didn't hear the episode, Jen had a ant infestation in her purse a couple of weeks back. And it's because she left candy in her purse, I guess, and the ants found it, right? So there was a suggestion last week to replace those candies with candy corn because ants won't eat it because it's not edible. And so this is what they're saying.
Hilarious.
I'm really curious about replacing candies with candy corn. So my question is, what was Jen's reaction about that letter?
Honestly, it's probably smarter. And since they are indestructible, like nothing would affect them. I could eat them at any time I was hungry. Versus other things kind of melt. Granola bars get crushed. Candy corn would be a solid per snack.
Can't wait to hear the stories in 2025 for that. So next email. Hey, Travis and Jen, hope you're doing well. My name is Colton. I have around 500 subscribers. I want to write this to get your advice and insight on how to improve my performance, mainly CTR, and playthrough style content. A bit of a backstory. I've been doing YouTube for about 7 years now and have sort of flip-flopped through different styles and content and niches. In 2025, however, I'm 90% committed to the retro gaming niche. Packaging and CTR-wise, this niche relies heavily on one-off videos, but there are some story games that I want to make full playthroughs of. I feel like my best bet is to live stream these story games on YouTube and edit the live streams into hour-long compilations, but let me know what you think. The only problem I have with this is my editing style is very time-consuming, and I'm the type of person that only focuses on one project at a time. So I don't want to sacrifice consistency for a long video that people might not want to commit to watching. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, I hope this email wasn't too long. Thank you in advance. Well, let's just talk to John, who knows about the analysis paralysis of editing at times. For those who don't know, John has been with vidIQ for a while, but before that, he had his own YouTube channel, and in between that and vidIQ, he actually did editing for my Travis Tries the World channel. And I just want to say that his editing is amazing, incredible, and my favorite content I've ever made, period. But, and I think John would admit some of this, there was a time, I don't know if that's really the case anymore, but there was a time where you were really super analytical and maybe overly, I don't know, kind of stuck when you would edit something. You wanted to be just right.
It's easy to pinpoint if you go back to like my first 2 videos on the vidIQ channel, because they would take me a month at a time to edit, and I'd be spending right around 12 to 16 hours a day just editing because I'd like to get everything perfect. And the whole intro of one, I like 3D modeled and designed. I made my whole office and it's just like one of those things that people just walk right by, they watch right past, and it took a long time to learn. First, to be able to let go, to have somebody else edit my stuff, because like for some reason I'm just like, nah, it won't be right, it won't be right. And it took a long time to learn that there is no right. And the video that I've spent the least amount of time on in my life is the one that got 1 million views. It's the most ridiculous situation. But after being with vidIQ for so long and it being necessary to film raws and give them to an editor, it's let the reins loose a little bit. And that's a exposure therapy situation. Either you get over it or you don't make content. And I had to hire an editor for myself, and that took a long time to find too. But you have to do it at some point. It's what's your time worth, really? That's the big question.
I love this. There are so many creators that I have that's like, I spent 2 weeks on this short, and then the one I uploaded after that was literally just shot on my phone. There was like 2 cuts. It was kind of like a joke, and it got me that 1 million views. It is like far surpassed everything I've ever created. And so many times have I heard creators say like the video they put the least amount of effort in, almost didn't even care about, is the video that absolutely just surprised them the most.
I think people, they realize their standard of quality at that point when something like that happens. They're like, okay, it's to my standard, my lowest standard, and then it's a quantity game after that. And seriously, just keep putting stuff out. As long as you're okay with it, it's good enough, then get it out there because you have more chances of things blowing up.
What would you say is at the root of why that happens, Jen? I'm trying to think of an explanation for this, because we all know what you mean when you say that. Like, if we could encapsulate that explanation information into a bottle and sell it, we could retire very, very quickly. The best answer I can think of, it's just a spontaneous idea in the moment that is so in tune with what you're doing that it just clicks, and you can make it instantly without much thought to it. Whereas the things that you put so much effort into, you kind of forget to think about whether or not this is a good idea, and you're just more focused on getting, the right L cuts and the graphic to move into that precise point, and you just lose yourself in the process rather than the germination of the idea as well.
I think when you chase something, it runs away faster than you can catch it. And I think there's a mindset or just kind of a place you can get stuck in when you are constantly chasing your next big video, chasing the next viral thing, where you don't have that spontaneous creativity. That's why you started this. That's why you have your YouTube channel. And they're different places. And getting wrapped up in chasing those views usually isn't the best ideas that you have. I don't know. I think that when you kind of let go a little bit, you get rewarded in a sense where things just kind of fall back into line. But letting go like that is not easy. I don't know the secret to flipping that switch.
It works the exact same with thumbnails, by the way. When you can immediately think of how to convey an idea through an image, it's just it's so easy to understand. Those make the best thumbnails, by the way. Just so you know, if you can draw it out in 2 seconds and then kind of spice it up in Photoshop or whatever in 20 minutes, that's the winner, guaranteed.
I love that. So I tell my creators, I'm like, you should be making thumbnails and writing titles like you are making them for a kindergartner. Do you feel like that's accurate then, John?
No doubt, for sure. I got this book called Back of the Napkin, and it's all about conveying your ideas through imagery. It's solid. It's good.
Back of the Napkin. That's a cool title.
So if my next title is V is for views, and then just have a number on a blackboard, am I guaranteed 1 billion views?
It better be a sing-along, let me tell you that. That's what it sounds like.
Pretty much.
We've already got some vidIQ AI tunes, haven't we, Travis?
I think. Oh, I have one that Jen doesn't like. Hold on.
This is the weirdest one to me. It makes me laugh so hard.
Well, let me play part of this. I don't remember how long it is. Let's see.
Travis and Jen, they're on the mic, talking about a YouTube life, how to grow and get those likes. Grow your views and subscribers to Travis and Jen. They'll see you through. Analytics don't fear the stats.
Anyway, you get it.
So
you get the idea.
odd.
Oh, we need a t-shirt. That analytics don't fear the stats.
Love it.
Beautiful.
I think it's catchy. I think it's kind of cool. Anyway, that's one of the many things that we've done this year.
Before we move on, I made a graphic last night for a book I'm working on. It totally applies to what Jen was talking about. It's like the law of diminishing returns, but for content creation. Yeah, it made a lot of sense to me when I made it, so... Here we go. Yeah, you spend a lot of time creating, and you'll hit that moment, and then if you keep going, you just overthink it, and the quality goes down and down until you give up.
This is great.
Cool little image here for people on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's
I think it's great. This year, 2024, as we're closing it out, was the expansion of shorts into longer shorts. What we're talking about here are shorts going into the upwards of 3 minutes for a short. And Rob, you did some experimentation. Especially when it comes down to the monetary portion of shorts. Could you please share what you have learned about long shorts?
When a short is consumed through the shorts player and it's a long short, the average view duration is significantly shorter than the same video watched through the normal YouTube watch page. And I think it's because at the moment viewers just aren't used to a short being longer than 60 seconds. And I think on average, because there was that weird crossover when a longer short, this is going to sound really complicated for anybody listening. The longer short was actually being watched through the regular watch page on YouTube.
I'm enjoying this. Keep going.
Rather than the shorts player, there was that crossover period. And when it was watched through a watch page, I think the average view duration was 1 minute 35. But then when it was watched through the shorts player, it was 48 seconds. So it was almost a minute less in average view duration. The biggest difference is monetization. If you watch a video through the watch page, you open yourselves up to so many different ad revenue opportunities, banner ads, skippable ads, ads before, ads after, etc., etc. But with a shorts player, you are just one of several videos that somebody sees before an ad is played. And so again, on this same video, which had this crossover period, it had an RPM of around $4.50 when it was being watched through the watch page. And then when it was a shorts exclusive, that dropped to 3 to 4 cents. So it was a 99% decline in ad revenue.
niche.
Cool. You've got an extra 10, 20, 30 seconds to play with on a short, because I know a lot of people were struggling to get their shorts out in 59 seconds. I'd say use that extra 10, 20 seconds. But once the short is longer than 1 minute, 30 seconds, then maybe you actually want to put some borders on the side or record it in landscape so that it is treated as a long form piece of content. That's my sort of general thoughts and advice going forward until the evidence suggests otherwise.
I definitely agree that if you're trying to aim to do longer shorts, then still keeping it fairly short is the way to go, just like Rob said, keeping it around a minute 30. And honestly, if you're doing a minute 30 long short, it would have to be like absolutely necessary. Like if you're telling a story, it's got to be a really, really good story to take up all that time. Some types of content just don't work for the people that are in that headspace for watching vertical content. One big example we can look at is TikTok and the way that they do live streams. They get people to watch their live streams, but not like regular live streams. They get them to watch because they make them into competitions. They compete against each other and battle for like galaxies or roses or whatever they're called on TikTok. If you just have a regular person doing like a professional live stream, it's a different experience that people aren't looking for because they're in that scroll mindset. I think it's about the amount of dopamine you can squeeze out in the shortest amount of time. I'm not so sure that long shorts are going to perform as well as hoped.
I mean, I get Rob's point where, you know, you say to like put some borders on, but at that point, why aren't you just making long form content?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like a hack. It's like, oh, I recorded it like this instead of this by accident, so I need to fix it after the fact.
So that one, I yell at all of my creators for that. That's like the number one thing. I'm like,
Stop it. Don't do that. Stop it.
That's good coaching, is that, Jen? When you're just telling people, just stop doing that.
that's my channel audit. Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, for 2025, obviously some new changes I'm sure will be coming. What we know of are things like the community, which we hope come in 2025, which is the, I don't know, you don't want to call it like a Discordy thing, but kind of like a forum within YouTube channel. So we know that's coming. The widespread, of course, of the auto dub, which we just been talking about. It really seems like trying to bring everything together in one place. YouTube is, if nothing else, really trying to work on having you upload all your content to one channel, not having to split into multiple channels unless you have a different audience. They want you to be able to just put live streams, shorts, regular content, all on the same channel. But have they been successful this year? Let's go down the line. Was 2024 successful before we look into 2025? All the things YouTube tried to implement this year, did it help creators? Was it neutral, or did you think it hurt creators? Jen, let's start with you.
I'm trying to think, what did they actually do this year?
I'm Googling it.
A/B thumbnail testing, longer shorts.
I think A/B thumbnail testing, it's hard to say because I'm actually not a huge fan of this. I think that it mentally helps creators, but I think for the majority of creators on the platform, this is not a tool that is helpful because people aren't using it. And of course, this is generally speaking from, you know, my creators that I have, is that they're not prioritizing what one really good thumbnail is. And instead you have two mediocre ones that are battling each other and not properly battling each other either. So I have kind of switched my approach where I would rather someone come up with one really good idea for a thumbnail and just leave it at that, because you're just relying on YouTube to make this decision. But what you're not thinking about is like your worst thumbnail is still being shown to people and then they're not going to click on the video. Well, I mean, maybe not click on the video, and then they don't get an opportunity to see that second one. So personally, I'll say I do not use A/B testing, and I don't encourage, especially my smaller creators who are really building those skills, to use A/B testing. I do encourage larger creators who have the data to get quick test results to do 24-hour testing, 3-day testing, 7-day testing for wider audience reach, community outreach, and test with that priority. But that's not relevant to a smaller creator. I like John nodding his head. I feel very validated. Keep nodding, John.
At this moment, I don't think I've agreed with somebody more at vidIQ than this moment. I'm like, I want to scream. Yes, that's what I've been saying. It's tough because I got this thumbnail live stream and people are like, well, I do these tests and all this. And I'm like, yeah, but if three crappy thumbnails are battling each other, one has to win. And if that's the case, it doesn't tell you anything. It's, in my opinion, it's better. And by the way, vidIQ might not condone this. I don't know. I don't speak for vidIQ. I just speak for John Scott. Just having a thumbnail or two and switching it out yourself yourself to see the results, it limits the variables so you actually know. There's just too much unknown when it comes to the tool at this moment, and especially since it's not CTR. Travis once said, well, if it did impressions, if impressions were the metric that it judged, and I'm like, yeah, that would work. I would be okay with that. But yeah, honestly, like, stop focusing on making 3 thumbnails. Make the next piece of content. Like, that's what I tell everybody. This is a thumbnail stream, but please move on, please.
Rob, we have strong opinions on the other side of this. What do you think?
Oh, the left side of the screen is just saying right here, but...
See, I don't necessarily disagree with what either of you has said, and I have now been making sometimes 3 or 2 thumbnails per video, and 12 months later, I'm still not sure what type of thumbnails I should be making to best attract my audience. And maybe that's just me having a scattergun creative approach to this. I think for people who have discipline and can be really analytical, I think it can be helpful in doing what you would call big thumbnail tests, that being have a face in a thumbnail, not having a face in a thumbnail, text in a thumbnail, not having text in a thumbnail, and you might be able to make a informed decision on whether to do one or the other. And then, as John and Jen say, that's kind of alliteration there. You should do a podcast, John and Jen. John.
There's a radio show here in Cincinnati, John and Jen. Oh no, it's Jeff and Jen. Never mind. Ignore me.
What on earth was I saying there? Yeah, so like maybe you could do some big thumbnail difference split testing, and then once you know, right, it's definitely faces in thumbnails, then you go back to making one thumbnail but make it a very high quality one. I must admit, like when it first came out, I thought this is brilliant, everybody should use it. 12 months later, I'm just not sure what to recommend anymore. I'm really not. I feel as if everybody should test it out, because for some people it might be like a light bulb moment, but I understand if you are very creative and now we're asking you to make another 2 thumbnails on top of everything you're doing, that could lead to just more stress and pressure and paralysis. And like everybody else, I don't understand the watch time metric. I feel it should be click-through rate with impressions shown to make sure that it did equally distribute the thumbnails to all users, because I'm never sure if it's equally shared the thumbnails between all of the users, if that makes sense. If a thumbnail was shown 100 times, I don't know if 33 times it showed A, 33 times it showed B, and then 34 times it showed C. And without that data, that's a little frustrating.
Yeah. And it skews the results.
I do think there's a nice confidence thing, like with Rob's test doing textless or faceless. I think when creators are kind of set in their ways and you suggest, like, what if we don't put your face on the thumbnail? It's very scary and it's very intimidating to test out something so polar opposite, or testing out an entirely different aesthetic, that it makes creators feel more confident being like, well, just put them both in. So if that helps, that little step into making changes that can grow the channel, I will stand for that, because those can be really big decisions and like very scary decisions for big changes like that.
I think about beginning creators too, that those that don't really know the best thumbnail practices, but they can still use the tool. And it's sort of like a Dunning-Kruger effect thing, where like everybody's super confident and then they realize that they shouldn't be so confident, and then it's time to learn. And they call that Mount Stupid. And so I think the tool can push new creators over Mount Stupid into the humbled territory, where then they can learn. And I never considered that, you know, it's just because I used to be there and it would have been useful then. And now it's like I've had a tough time finding use for it, but it doesn't mean it can't be useful for others, for sure.
I want to hear what everyone thinks trends for 2025 actually are. I know everyone kind of said a little bit, but what do we actually feel like is going to happen in 2025?
Who are you asking that question to first?
I mean, you're the most trendy person here, Rob. So.
Really? All right. Okay.
You are.
I feel as if there is some sort of AI reckoning coming because of Sora. I don't know if you've all started to see and play around with that, but also YouTube is releasing its AI tools as well. I think there's already been a wave of AI content coming onto a platform in 2024. I think that's going to become more prevalent, and I feel as if YouTube may need to take more action, whether to lean into it more or to fight against it. I think the audience will decide. What I've noticed in 2024, maybe this is just how my algorithm has been influencing me, and I get the feeling this happens to every single person on YouTube at some point, but I feel as if YouTube has got more negative in the last. In that everybody was celebrating the success of creators and how they were growing. You know, from these bedroom creators who started a decade ago and now they have their own empires, like businesses. And there's been a raft of negativity dirty and like controversial stories. You know, again, is the algorithm just pushing me all of these stories about how all of these people are failing? And like that is now what the audience wants to see. We've seen these creators build themselves up and now want to see them smash down and somebody else take their place. And I don't know if that is going to continue in 2025 or that's just how I feel based off of what social media, not just YouTube, all of social media seems to be pushing my way at the moment. And I'm sorry I kind of end it on that bad mark, but yeah, it feels as if more and more creators are now starting to be treated as celebrities and audiences want to see those celebrities not just in a positive, valuable light, but also in a vulnerable, exposed, negative light as well.
Way to set that one up.
Follow that one, John.
I occasionally see like negative content, but it's more like snarky podcasts and stuff that I occasionally watch, just like drama stuff. I don't get shown a whole lot. I recently did get shown something about a channel called JCS. It's like a true crime, and I don't know what happened, but they used to have a narrator that was super popular, and then they released a video, and they released like one every year or every 2 years. Very dedicated fan base, but that they don't talk to. But they released a video, and all of the AI, it was 11 Labs. It mocked his voice. And they paid the guy, but they just didn't use him. And so he was like, whatever. But people hated it so much, it went down within 6 hours. And it's like, I saw that because one person covered it immediately and started talking negatively about the entire situation. And yeah, they got like 100,000 views in 3 days. And they were like 300 subscriber channel. It's just absolutely insane, but I guess that's a little bit of a combination of AI reckoning and drama channel. Yeah, it does happen. I don't see a whole lot of it, but I wonder if it stems from a lack of connection for some people. Like, I wonder if enough people could see behind the scenes of people that they could relate to, if they could find their people to hang out with online, that they wouldn't be so apt to go and talk S-word about other creators and stuff. Like, you can approach the internet with hate, or you can approach it with community and love, and it's just like maybe there's not enough of the latter.
We see this all the time in a lot of different spaces on YouTube. Fortunately, the boost kind of viewership has been incredibly loving and fun. I mean, really, we have some of the most fun and creative viewers I've ever seen. Some of the emails are just outrageous. Jen knows this. Outrageously
They're so
cool.
Creative. It's crazy.
So that's also because we've cultivated that, and I won't stand for negative comments in the comment section. It's like, you know, across the board, it'll just be like, hey, negative comment, you get deleted. Because the thing is, there was a study about this. I remember I did a video about this many years ago, where people are emboldened after the first negative comment to pile on. It's easy to pile on. It's not necessarily easy to be the first person to say something negative. Certainly easy to be the second person. So if you can cut it off at the beginning, then that's a good way to keep things positive. Another thing, and I've said this before to a lot of creators, every single time I say this, something changes for them. And that is, when you get negative comments, the impetus is to, and a lot of times people want to immediately respond, clap back, whatever the case may be. And we see a lot of this from creators, and I see it as like a support of other creators. I'm a fan of other creators as well. And you'll leave a cool comment, supportive comment, and it gets no interaction from the creator. But you look a little bit further down and someone says something hateful to them, and they're going back and forth with that person. It's human nature to try to defend yourself and stuff, but what you're doing is you're robbing from the people who support you, and you're giving to someone who isn't supporting you at all. And basically what you're doing is the people who've been there maybe every single day for every single one of your videos and liking and everything, and you know, there's people you don't react to because you just see them all the time, and this one person who does a drive-by hateful comment and you give them all your time, you're making the people who support you maybe go, what am I doing here? You know, I've shown this person so much love, and they're just, maybe I should say something hateful. Maybe then they'll reply to me. There have been times where I've gotten comments back when I was first starting out that were kind of like hater comments, and when I respond to them, they were like, oh, I just wanted to get your attention. And that should tell you everything you need to know. They're not being genuine. So definitely the people that support you, you should support them back. And I think that's super important for 2025 and really anytime. So that's the end of 2024. Going into 2025, we hope that you've learned all the things you need to be successful. But even if you haven't, we will be back in early January. And I want to thank Rob and John for joining us today. Now that
You're welcome.
Fun.
We can check that off.
Can we also put hoodies on the list? I want VidI Crew hoodies.
Yes. Actually, you know what? We're going to make that happen.
I mean, for the company, for the community, for
We're gonna make that
everyone.
happen.
Let's get VidI Crew merch.
100%
Agreed.
That's going to happen. I will make that happen by hook or crook. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. If you like this and you want to see the fully unedited version with all the silliness, hit the link in the description below and we'll see you in the next one.